Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Thank you for being an awesome pledge hammer on Patreon, the Kessel Run DX Solo. The WWE draft begins, Bayley wins back the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Fox and USA execs really like wrestling, guys. And have WWE scrapped the Mae Young Classic? Press the timestamps in the video description below to be taken to any of those stories right now. I am Chopper Pete Quinnell. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and enable notifications, and leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of SmackDown, and press the eye above my head to leave a rating where you can choose from. Well, actually, since I'm now working Saturdays and taking over the SmackDown reviews, I can completely shake up the rating system. So, choose from Smack Awesome, Smack Good, where you can choose from Smacknificent, Smacktastic, Smack Bang in the Middle, Smack Downer, and a smack in the face. This is the October 11th, 2019 edition of Friday Night SmackDown. The show started with one of the two previously announced matches in Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, with the winner of the match receiving the first pick for their brand, despite neither of them actually having a brand anymore. Seth made his entrance with absolutely zero selling from Sunday's Hell in a Cell match from The Fiend. And I don't mean physically, considering he took essentially no punishment. I mean psychologically. The point of Sunday's match was that The Fiend made Rollins face his demons, and he let him in and all that, spooky stuff. He goaded Rollins into doing things he doesn't normally do, and he left him choking on his own blood. But here, out he comes doing completely normal Seth Rollins things and broing out with Roman Reigns as if Sunday didn't happen. And hey, maybe that's the best thing to do, to pretend Sunday never happened and we can all move past it and forget it ever happened. So Rollins and Reigns had a pretty good back and forth match with some nice callbacks to their previous matches, and then whoopsie daisy, remember Sunday, because here comes The Fiend. This time though, he bursts out from under the ring, locks in a mandible claw, giving Seth Rollins a DQ victory before dragging him through the hole he made in the ring. Rollins managed to climb his way back out, and The Fiend popped his head back out before deciding against doing more punishment and slinking away again. We then take our first look backstage at the Fox and USA Network War Rooms. I'm not kidding, they actually called them War Rooms, where the executives were drafting their picks. These were the most obvious plants I've ever seen, and they were probably the highlight of the entire show. It's like someone grabbed some random people off the street, dressed them up and said, act like you're doing vague business things. So you had people pointing at whiteboards and throwing papers around and calling on the phone without actually doing anything. It was great, and it only got better. And wait, is that an NFL robot? WWE then explained the draft rules, which sort of almost makes sense, before we get the first round of picks, with Raw drafting Becky Lynch first, SmackDown then picked Roman Reigns, also makes sense, before Raw then picked the OC. You know, the OC that were easy pickings for Braun Strowman and every other tag team in recent memory. Then SmackDown picked Bray Wyatt and Raw picked Drew McIntyre, which was cool. We then take a look at the SmackDown War Room, where they celebrate the acquisition of Roman Reigns like they won the bloody Super Bowl. There were high fives and party poppers, the whole lot. This was great. Then we get the glorious insight of Booker T on the WWE draft panel, and also Samoa Joe was there being a babyface. Weird. King Corbin comes out next, and he cuts a standard promo saying he's the king, before out comes Shorty Gable. Shorty Gable is his actual name now. That's official. Okay. The two had a solid back and forth match with a great sequence to end it, featuring Gable locking in the ankle lock and doing some innovative moves to keep it locked in before doing a roll up just as Corbin was about to counter it, which led into Corbin hitting the end of days for the victory. This was good. The next round of picks began with Randy Orton for Raw, before SmackDown picked Sasha Banks. Raw then picked up Ricochet, before SmackDown picked Braun Strowman. Raw then finally picked up Bobby Lashley. This was fine. The Raw War Room, try saying that 5 times fast. The Raw War Room then celebrated getting Orton again, like they had just won something slightly larger than the Olympics. Next was a video recap of Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman's confrontation on last week's SmackDown, with the official announcement on SmackDown of Fury versus Strowman at Crown Jewel. Then immediately following that, we get a video recap of Cain Velasquez's debut, which led to the official SmackDown announcement of Velasquez versus Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Maybe Spacey's out so they're not immediately one after the other. There's more on Velasquez and his future in WWE coming up in the news later on in this video. Speaking of Velasquez, next up was Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar to talk about that match at Crown Jewel, with Heyman really putting over the fact that Velasquez is the only thing that Lesnar is scared of, and he doesn't want to relive the day that Velasquez beat him to a pulp. But he then said he'll conquer his fear, which brought out Cain and Rey Mysterio, with Cain saying he's going to give Lesnar another scar to match the one he already gave him on the other side of his face, which was a great line and said in Spanish, which Mysterio translated. This was also pretty good stuff. We cut to some NFL people attempting to act like they're WWE fans, with their first draft pick of course being Macho Man Nature Hogan. Yep. Before we get a segment with The New Day putting over WWE's partnership with Susan G. Komen, this led into a match between The New Day and Raw's second pick overall, the OC. They lost. Second overall pick. This was some nice catharsis for Kofi fans, as the end sequence of this match was again fantastic, with Kofi pinning Styles off the Trouble in Paradise. However, Kofi absolutely no-sold the fact that he just lost the WWE Championship in 9 seconds last week, and now he just feels like another member of the New Day. We got a quick replay of The Fiend from earlier in the night, before 2 back-to-back rounds of picks, with Raw acquiring Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, Natalya, which the Raw War Room celebrated harder than when they got Randy Orton. Then in the next round they picked up the Viking Raiders, Nikki Cross, and the Street Profits. Wait, they drafted Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in separate picks, despite them being a tag team and they could have been picked as one? Nice one, Raw War Room and your stupid businessman and Ultimate Warrior face paint. SmackDown, on the other hand, picked up Lacey Evans, The Revival, Lucha House Party, and Heavy Machinery. No doubt when it comes to Monday's Raw, SmackDown will be picking up some other heavy hitters. There was a quick hype package for Tyson Fury before we got Bayley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley came out and she has a new haircut. Not only that, but she stabbed and decapitated the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men. This was a much needed character change, and I'm glad to finally see full heel Bayley. The match itself was fine, about the same caliber of their match on Sunday, but the finish came when Bayley rolled up Charlotte, who was attempting to do a figure 8 for the win. Bayley is your new women's champion with a roll-up, the most devastating move in the women's division. After the match, Bayley grabbed the mic and said, "Hey you bitches, screw all of you," before dropping the mic and leaving. Alrighty then. This was a nothing episode of SmackDown, all built around the draft and the hilarious war rooms, with the matches not really meaning much aside from the main event. Bayley as champion is good, and I'm looking forward to her new character, though not having the selected stars come out on the stage as part of the draft was a big mistake in my opinion, as the crowd kind of deflated as they realized they wouldn't be seeing their favorite stars. This SmackDown was a smack bang in the middle. And now we're gonna go over to the news for the first time with Dave. Now Dave, come here. Look how nice and friendly and cuddly and great he is. And yes, I am standing on a box, he's not just really short. But please be nice to him, okay? He's great, be nice. I'm watching you, alright? Have fun.
Thank you, Pete, and thank you to Pete's box, that is now canon, and thanks for the warm welcome. It's good to see that not everyone here is afraid of me. I just want to be everyone's friends. Friends, not fiends. Friends. Much like Michael Cole talking about how this might be the last time we ever see this matchup, I cannot stress that enough. Kicking things off with some news from AEW, and a new match has been announced for the Dynamite show next week. It's a tantalizing prospect, with Jon Moxley set to team up with Pac to take on Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Both Moxley and Pac have had their issues with Omega in the past. Moxley was set to throw down with him at Full Gear, while Pac has already defeated both opponents in singles matches. Whether the duo will remain a tag team is yet to be seen. They're surely more likely to stick to singles matches. But with the inaugural tag team champions due to be crowned at Dynamite on Wednesday, Moxley and Pac would certainly make for formidable opponents. This follows the news that the AEW World Championship match between Chris Jericho and Darby Allin has had the added stipulation of being a Philadelphia street fight. Jericho has said that the city has some particularly mean streets, but I'm not sure what parts of Philadelphia has to play in the match. Perhaps there will be an assortment of cream cheese-based snacks available. Hard to say at this stage, but I'm sure it would be nice to have something for all that bubbly to wash down. In WWE news, Cain Velasquez has reportedly signed a multi-year contract with the company and fully retired from the world of MMA. ESPN has reported that the former two-time UFC heavyweight champion has signed a lucrative, multi-year deal with WWE and has also notified the UFC of his retirement. This is huge for WWE, who are looking to take a more sport-centric approach due to their affiliation with Fox. Velasquez, of course, debuted on the first broadcast of SmackDown to be aired on the network, where he made many people think that he was Dominic Mysterio, having suddenly been to the Dean Ambrose school of getting jacked super quickly, with a quick sabbatical at the John Cena College of frankly inhuman recovery times. He stared a hole through WWE champion Brock Lesnar, then proceeded to try and turn his face to silly putty. The two are set to do battle at Crown Jewel in a few weeks, and it's fair to say that Velasquez is already looking like a major player in the title picture for whichever brand he's drafted to. On a slightly more disappointing note, WWE is said to have nixed plans for the 2019 Mae Young Classic. Reasoning for this has been practically non-existent. As recently as August, plans were said to be in motion for the tournament, but these appear to have been very abruptly curtailed. Wrestling Observer newsletter has stated that WWE has decided against holding an all-women's tournament until 2020. It's a great shame to hear. The previous two Mae Young Classics have made household names of the likes of Kairi Sane, Shayna Baszler, Toni Storm, and Io Shirai. The women's divisions of both WWE and NXT are incredibly strong already, and bolstering that with the Mae Young Classic has already proven effective, so the cancellation of this year's competition is a major blow for sure. Hopefully, we'll be able to see more in the coming year. Is NXT in crisis? Click the video to the right to find out more, leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of SmackDown, and a special thank you to our pledge hammers on Patreon, some of whom you can see strolling below me right about now. I've been Dave, just Dave, the friend, not the fiend, just Dave, and that was wrestling.